on the India development debate, we asked the question on whether it was hypocrisy for the IPL to continue its partnership and its sponsorship with Vivo when relations have gone so sour between India and China, and India is actively trying to stop China's influence on the Indian economy, on imports, etc. Well, now news has come out that Vivo could be negotiating an exit from the IPL itself. There are various versions of what's going on, and of course a detailed and official statement is awaited. One of those versions is also that Vivo may exit for this year and be back in 2021. It raises quite a few questions. One is that should BCCI and IPL have taken this decision themselves? Is it IPL who has decided to remove Vivo from the sponsorship, or is it Vivo who has decided to exit? And how does the BCCI now fill an over 400 crore rupee hole in this year's IPL? Let's not forget, it's a big business venture primarily. Well, to speak more on this, I am joined now by K. Srinivas Rao. He's the cricket editor of the Times of India and the person who broke that story earlier today. I'm also joined by Dilip Cherian, Image Guru. Welcome to both of you. Mr. Rao, just let's start with what you know of the situation right now. Which version is more correct, and what happened in the last 24 hours? Yesterday, the story was that BCCI was keeping all its sponsors, whether they were Chinese or not. It just didn't matter. They were ironclad contracts. Today, the story seems to have turned on its head.
Hi there. Yeah, you're right. 48 hours ago, the IPL Governing Council had met over telephone, and the decision that was taken was to retain all sponsors. But you have to understand that there are many elements that go into this whole sponsorship deal. It's not about, IPL Governing Council just waking up one day and saying that we don't want these sponsorships to, remain in place anymore because of some bigger issues that are at play. But primarily, these are ironclad documents. You can't just throw them out of the window for reasons which are not within BCCI's control. You have to understand that if BCCI wanted to take a call on the sponsors, they would have had to hear from the government. If the government would have told BCCI that, listen, this is what you have to do, then the BCCI could have probably taken a call on it. They didn't hear anything, and they were free to take the call that they wanted, and they could not have thrown the sponsor out of the window because there are massive legal repercussions to it. So that is one. The other thing that you asked is whether, Vivo walked out of it, or did BCCI ask Vivo to step out? So for now, I'll put it this way, that it was a mutual agreement that both of them arrived at for IPL 2020, that Vivo will walk out of this year's IPL. And after this season is over, a further look can be taken as to whether Vivo can come back, or does BCCI need to go in for a full-fledged title sponsor once again? That's a call that will be taken after this year's tournament. So it's not for now to be, it's too early to discuss that. The third point that you said about how difficult it is for BCCI to find a replacement for Vivo, well, difficult is an understatement.
Let me come to that. Mr. Rao, let me come to point number 3 in a bit. But I want to come back to you on this mutual agreement. I mean, someone must have had to initiate that conversation, because there is a lot to lose on both sides. You talked about ironclad contracts. I'm sure there are bank guarantees as well. If Vivo suddenly says that, hey, we don't want to pay what we promised to, or we don't think the situation is conducive right now. So where has it actually come from? Has Vivo also been having second thoughts?
Vivo was having second thoughts, considering all the negativity that was there in the market, considering all the negativity that had enveloped in the market. Like, they were having second thoughts on whether they want to continue in this space or not, at least in the present environment. They were not very, the market is not conducive for Vivo to continue. And I mean, day in and day out, we're seeing what's happening. And it was not very conducive for them to, try and continue. And they did want a solution out of this. And that is why I said that it had to be a mutual agreement between both the parties. One party in this particular scenario could not have taken a unilateral call and said that, we don't want to work with you for the season. That could not have happened. Whether that is Vivo we're talking about, or whether it's BCCI we're talking about. Contractually bound agreements, legal contracts do not work on sentiments. They don't work on emotions. And the sooner we understand that, the better it is from an industry perspective. It's all very good to know, it's all very good to identify with the sentiment that prevails today, that, we need to do the right thing. We need to take the right step forward in terms of understanding the bigger picture and whatever's happening. But we also have to understand the simple fact that this is a legal document in place which has repercussions in Indian courts, not in Chinese courts.
Yeah.
It has legal repercussions in Indian courts. Vivo India is a registered Indian company.
Absolutely.
So we are not talking about this matter being raised in some Chinese court on some, kind of court anywhere in the world. We are talking about this being a legal point to be discussed in India. So it's not
fair point.
Such an easy thing. Yeah.
No, fair point. Fair point. In fact, we've been discussing in great detail how these commercial decisions have to be looked at pragmatically, and at the end of the day, they have financial implications, because this was a massive sponsorship deal, a huge jump over the last one as well, and now suddenly the whole finances.
I'll add one bit here. In 2017, when Vivo came on board, when did Vivo come in? Vivo came in when Pepsi had walked out of its 396 crore deal. They walked out midway. BCCI renegotiated, brought Vivo on board, and Vivo paid 500% premium value to the existing deal.
Exactly.
And that is when we were the people saying that, look, where Indian sport has gone, that there is a 500 premium value. So we have to live with those decisions. And I don't think we're looking at it the right way.
Right. Dilip, I want to come to you to understand the perception part of it. It is a commercial contract. They are legally bound. But why that question today is so important about who decided to walk out on whom is because everyone is taking credit for it. People are saying that we applied the pressure as citizens, as nationalists, and that's why, IPL had to take this decision. Some are saying that, what are you talking about? Vivo is the one who rejected IPL. And it has turned into this whole perception management. Do you think on either side of it, BCCI has come off fairly poorly, that their hand was forced one way or the other to part ways with Vivo?
Absolutely right. The problem has been that in terms of managing the perception, the image of BCCI is the one that has got dented as a result of this process. If they had not come out with the statement 2 days ago, and I take Srinivas Rao's point that there are commercial implications and these are contracts which will get examined by the courts. Either way, the fact is that there should have been a measured response, and the idea would have been to inveigle somehow the government's sanction one way or the other. What comes across is that there was some kind of a wink and a nod, and then BCCI decided to go ahead. And the impression that gathered today was clearly that it was Vivo pulling the plug. Now, we don't know exactly what's happened. We will know hopefully in the next 48 hours with greater clarity. But where I see this going is that Vivo India will always have the edge that it decided to pull out because of public sentiment. It may have to pay a price for it. The fact that there is talk or there is a backstop kind of position where they're saying we want to be out this year, but we intend to be back next year. So the fact is that at the price that Vivo has entered, it is possible that the BCCI has a plan. In business terms, we always say you must have a plan B. In this case, let's hope that the BCCI managers have a plan C, standing for China, because at the end of the day, they have to come to terms with the fact that there was a huge leap of confidence, as it were, in the nature of the Indian market, in the enthusiasm of the Indian cricket lover, which actually made.
So let's talk about what is plan B or plan C. Let's quickly.
No,
yes.
I'm saying that.
Let's quickly talk about what could be plan B or plan C.
Plan B would be straight away to find some kind of a sponsor
Yes.
who is willing to come in and plug part of the hole. Plan C is to recognize that there may be a whole flanks of companies who may no longer be eligible to even propose to be sponsors, because the number of companies where there are investments by Chinese investment funds is also very large. And these are the unicorns of India at the moment. So you are talking about the choice set getting narrowed, and Plan C would mean that you'd have to look at European or you'd look at American options to find this, unless, of course, Big Brother Geo decides to step
I literally have 30 seconds left. Yes. Okay, Big Brother Geo. I have literally 30-40 seconds left. But Mr. Rao, I want to hear what you think the plan B is. Where is that 400 plus crore hole going to be filled? Or does everyone realize that in the year of 2020, the year of the corona, everyone takes a hit, including the BCCI?
Exactly. Plan B is not Plan B anymore. Plan B now has become Plan A, which is what do you do in terms of Vivo's exit? And Vivo's walked out with an exit of 440 crores. Can BCCI fill in that kind of money in today's market? No, they cannot. Can they bring in a sole sponsor to replace Vivo at 440 crores per season? They cannot. But here's what I'll tell you. In this present market, in the wake of what is happening and with COVID and everything, if they find somebody to walk in at 50% of that value, and when I say not just one party, multiple partners to walk in at 50% of that value, it will still be a good enough compensation. Please understand that IPL doesn't work on the lines of how a World Cup does. If an IPL does not happen in a year, then it's a net loss. It's not like a World Cup which you can postpone it to next year. It's a league game. It's a league tournament which has to happen for that year for accounting to be done for that particular year. So if IPL has to happen this year, and if a new sponsor walks in at even 50% of the value, even then it is 50% of a takeaway for BCCI and for its stakeholders, rather than taking home nothing. So nobody can afford to be kind of penny wise and pound foolish here. If there was no IPL happening, there wouldn't be anything for anybody to take away from the table, right?
Okay, so let the bargain hunting begin, and that's probably what we will see. A lot of deals being made and unmade over the next few days. We'll keep watching this space, but I want to thank both Mr. Rao and Mr. Cherian for joining us on the discussion this evening. We'll take a very short break here, but when we come back, the India Revival Mission special series kicks off. We're speaking next up to the Amul boss.